Wolf Nation. The bird tribes have returned. Wake up, Neo, you're dreaming. There's never gonna be anyone but you and this demon. Everybody's sources out, but hope speaks. Hear the meaning. Every devil you believe in keeps seeking for reasons to complete every season before you can even speak. It's like a week in between. I know it's deep, but every beat isn't unique. So just believe in some mystique. At least this beat is for those weak and in need of more than bleak energies. I know this speaks because it speaks. No need to get on your knees. Do not delete or retreat from anything. Here's the link. If you need me, I'm there. There's not a mountain I won't climb to keep you breathing this air. Just know I care too much to let these beasts act up. The vultures loom and seek to ruin you and us. So what? I'll be the druid you review and then repeat back once. Listen. We won't be talking about this. I know it's hard for you to hear, but you are stronger than this. Hold on to me and every song you hear roll off of my lips. I'll keep believing in your team. You sing along and resist. We won't be talking about this. I know it's hard for you to hear, but you are stronger than this. Hold on to me and every song you hear roll off of my lips. I'll keep believing in your team. You sing along and resist. We won't be talking about this. I know it's hard for you to hear, but it is stronger than this. Hold on to me and every song you hear roll off of my lips. I'll keep believing in you till you sing along and resist. Yo, I wrote these tunes to deconfuse you. I know I need each month to write a song, but all along it wasn't wrong to hunt for some way out of the muck. I know you're stuck, but to be blunt, I found an owl that brings luck. Let's roll it up and see what this moon's about this month. Another cycle of revival is about to erupt. I know you feel it and your spirit just hold these lyrics in the air until it hears you. Here's my prayer. Yo, have a spirit if you dare, but stay aware. We're almost there. I will not tear away your dreams. My words are harsh. I know they seem too mean to really be believed, but to be fair is what we need. Just know that this return of kings took too much for me to scream. Every caller I hear ringing on my line, every ding throws me off, so I seem to ignore the best of y'all much too often in the scene.
So yeah, like I said, my week was I won't say rough, but it was intense. Just really, really intense. A bunch of different extremes, both good and bad. Interestingly enough, the topic that I wanted to discuss about reincarnation and all of that, I read some random thing. I was scrolling through my email at work. I was riding in the work vehicle towards a job and not really paying attention to anything. And my eyes ran across this passage in this random email that I got, and it was talking about some sort of spiritual this and that. But the sentence that I read said something about our ancestors from the stars planning out the future that we're now living, and that's how our lives are too. We're not here now for now. We're here for what we're going to have down the line. And that just really kind of turned that part of my mind on today, near the end of my day at work. And then there was just a bunch of small, little insignificant, but extremely encouraging happenstances that followed. Right up until we jumped on the call here, I was listening to this astrologist that I listened to, and they were live. And I was like, hey, I gotta go, because I was really getting a lot out of it. We're talking about the placement of the stars and something about Pluto and Capricorn in 2023, 2024. I've looked into it all before. And to me, it's like the book says what the book says. and by the book, I mean the map in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really buy into some people get really religious with it. But I have felt not so much anxious in a bad way, but just anticipatory about something in the air. It's like I can feel the energy just moving forward, and I can feel this aspect of myself that I say, I just, for clarity's sake, for my own brain, I say, okay, that this higher aspect of myself is called Hawk Eye, and the false self, Ethan, here doesn't even exist. I'm just an imagination complex in my mind. But that Hawkeye character seems to know where he's going, and he came here on purpose. He reincarnated to resist, or I did, or whatever. And it gets really confusing talking to yourself like that.
Yeah, I hear you.
However, I can't deny the fact that throughout, I'll be 33 this December. In all 33 of those years, each year I was supremely aware almost every day. I was made aware through some random happenstance. There was a whole lot more going on with me being here, living this life now, than meets the eye. It makes me want to, look beneath the surface.
Yes.
So that's, it's a topic that we've hinted around here and there. So I figured it would be, some quality content to provide to whoever the listeners will be, because that's really what I'm trying to do. In fact, the person that was running the podcast that I was listening to right before this, and I don't know if it was a podcast or whatever, but I slapped that on my thing here because that's what people call it, I guess. But the point is they said, if you're listening and you know that you should be doing what I'm doing, because I'm only doing what I'm doing for the people like you that need to hear it, and that's why we're doing this, then you should go and do the stuff that you should have already been doing, because now is the time. And then she gets it.
Oh, yeah.
Our guest gets to pointing out all of these different things. And it just really feels like this inner higher aspect of myself that, just for my own sanity's sake, I use two different names for it. So that implies a third watching of them. But
yeah.
However, what I'm getting at is this inner me, this higher self, seems to be saying to Ethan, if you will, it doesn't matter how you feel this week or how down and out you are in your mind about this, that, and or the other, because you've seen where I'm headed, and that's where I'm headed. You're going with me, kid.
I hear you. Gosh, I resonate with that. That makes total sense to me.
And at this point, 33 years later, I've just kind of learned to be like, yeah, you are right. There's no probably to it. I've witnessed it. This has happened before. A lot of times. In fact, most of my life, I've kind of felt like I was, at least in my mind, 15 steps ahead of my mind.
Yes.
And it's just really trippy to try to balance that out.
Dude, the whole thing is a trip. The whole thing is like this dream crazy. And I don't even use drugs of any kind because I can relate on such a deep level. I don't need that because I'm having these experiences too. So I'm excited for you that you're finding that and you're sort of pushing through the challenges. I feel that I have to do that too. There's days that are just really bad, but I know that there's going to be days that are really good also. And that there is a mission here and there is a purpose. And in a way, we're being played. Like that person you're calling Ethan, right? That part of us is being played because we're innocent, naive. We don't have all the tools. We're not aware of all the tools. And that higher self is like, they see everything, right? It's like, come on, let's go. I'm happy that you have that, because the people who don't have that, they're the ones who really suffer, and the ones that I hope that, they can hear something like this and be like, oh, maybe that's inside of me too. Maybe there's more to me than just this. Maybe I'm more than my emotions or my experiences. Because I think that's where we get down, is where we get stuck in our emotions, or thinking that we are our emotions, labeling ourselves by how we feel instead of labeling ourselves by what we are. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. And you touched on so much there that I'm interested to hear your perspective on, such as who's doing the playing and this, that, and or the other.
Yeah.
However, with what you just said there, it makes complete sense to me, because I only got to the point to where I decided it was necessary to use two different names and pretend like I'm two different people and not just be me, because it was too difficult for the conditioned aspect of my mind, I guess you could say, to accept that I was more than just what I was told to look at. And so I came to this realization not by sitting around in silence meditating this and that. I did isolate myself away from everybody for a good while, and I sat down and listened to music while I read books. And a lot of people say I get distracted with this and that, but the words of these songs that were randomly playing were lining up with the stuff going on in my head as I was reading these novels. And so in that silence or stillness, or it was like a low hum going on in my mental. And it led me to this place to where I realized I'm not my emotions. Mm-hmm. And then I started practicing every day. Every time some small wave would come up, whether it was good or bad, I would try my best to remain unattached to it, to watch it come and to watch it go. That way I could have the ability to exercise my free will instead of being pushed and pulled by every little thing, whether good or bad. If things are too good, it's kind of like sugar. It rots your teeth and does a lot of other terrible things to your body at large, but it tastes so good. Mm-hmm. So we know that, and we obviously know all the bad stuff is really bad. But I look around at the world and I say, wow, I think all of this is happening because nobody has the time between making money and making money to have any time with themselves, to get to know themselves enough to be able to see maybe the personality traits or whatever that they possess that aren't really theirs. It's stuff that got pushed on over the years, or it's patterns that they unconsciously picked up. And that's all well and good until you see it, and then you try to break away from it, and you realize, oh, wow, this thing has a hold on me. But then the truth is, no, you were just holding it. Mm-hmm. So I definitely get what you're saying there. Because as far as I'm concerned, everybody says, free will this, free will that, free will universe, all this and that. And the thing about it is that I realize the only thing that would have free will would be the soul.
Right. The part of us that's at least aware of the choices. So our human brain is so programmable that our free will is being messed with intentionally by those who understand that the mind is programmable. And so unless you have that alone time and that access and that realization of who you really are, you're not aware of your choices. How many people think that this is not a choice? Oh, this is not a choice. I have to do this. I have to do this. And that's just on the surface. But what about all of the stuff underneath like you're saying, what about all the stuff beneath the surface that is programming us on a daily basis? Everything. And so, no, most of our thoughts are not our own.
I wrote that song. I don't know if I've shared it with you specifically. I've shared it with a bunch, but the first song on the next album, Shadow Band, and I have coming out, it's literally titled "Psychological Warfare."
I listened to it. I absolutely love the whole album. Everything you've shared, I love it.
It's completely all psychological warfare, so much so that I have to engage in it just to get somebody to listen to me for long enough to realize that they don't even have ears. They're not just deaf, They don't have ears, because somebody convinced them that that's not a thing before they knew that it was a thing. And it's just trippy. It's really trippy.
It's the zombie apocalypse. I'm a realist, and most of the time I'm optimistic, because in reality, to me, there's just so much good going on, and
there really
good will continue. So really and truly, that's how I feel. And when I say it's the zombie apocalypse, I literally mean it. I mean, like, most people have become zombified to the programs of society, and at some level, and they're not really themselves. We're not really communicating with people at their potential, their true potential. And we're not sharing real truths with most people in the world. I know that sounds very drab, but
I feel most of the time.
It's true.
If I don't watch my own programs, that will perpetuate me into getting to where I've spent most of the year.
Same here. I spend most of my time noticing the automatic behaviors that I have that are absolutely ridiculous behaviors that do not have anything to do with what I want to be, or how I want to be, or what I think I am, or what I intended for.
They're opposed to you exercising your free will.
Yeah, they're just like, I will do a very stupid thing, like even just literally like burning myself by trying to take a pan out of the oven without an oven mitt. Like just a mindless act that there's no way I would really do if I was paying attention, right?
Yeah.
And we're way worse things than that, obviously. But so I spend a lot of time just noticing those and intentionally breaking those. You have to bring them to the foreground. It's like, okay, we all have this. So when you notice it, sort of celebrate, say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I see this pattern because I don't. And once you notice it, it's already shifted. And then notice when you're going to do it again, just change your behavior to something else, anything at all, just to break that cycle. And like the people around you will be happier, and they'll start waking up too. And fights and, amongst families and friends and neighbors will start to dissolve, because we fight for no reason. We fight over stupid things.
We literally murder each other, and we've done it more and more each year. We build bigger and bigger weapons as a whole, as a human race, over nothing. We do it over absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and it's happening on the micro and the macro as well. So it's happening in people's houses. When you notice what your kids are fighting over, I mean, it's nothing. And just slowly unraveling that, I think that's a big answer to a lot of this stuff about free will, because you begin to notice who you really are. But even one thing I do is I pray. I pray and I ask for guidance and to show me what I can do better. Am I on the path? And just like you're reading books and you're hearing the words coming out in songs, or some chain of events will occur because you did step onto the path and you're being given all the signs, because it's very important that you remain on the path. Because I do believe that we affect one another, in that if you're waking up, the people around you are feeling it, and it's actually helping, even if they're not yet aware of it. And so when you get on that path, you're given so many signs. Just, and I think that's maybe like what you were describing about what happened to you today, happened to me today too. I decided not to go to an event, and instead not to clean my house, just like little things, and just have a friend over. That was the right thing to do.
I think we all need that a lot more. We we should be kinder to ourselves and allow for ourselves to realize it's going to be all right. Even if it's not going to be all right if we don't chill.
When you're noticing you're going into one of those patterns of it's not all right, and you just breathe and you're like, well, why is it not all right? What have I been here before? What's the same about it? How can I make it just a little bit different this time? Even if I don't feel a lot better yet, I know that I can, because at least I'm not doing the same old thing that never made me feel better before. Then there's potential,
Yeah. So it's interesting. What you said there is, if you've been here before, and the topic that I decided that I wanted to chat with you about, just very loose topic here, and beneath the surface, because there's so much shit under the water that we can just find. So we can just talk about anything. That's pretty much what I tell anybody that comes on here with me, is that I'm just trusting that what led me to set up the microphone and everything else here, I'm just trusting that essence is going to connect with that essence in someone else that needs it to, because it's obvious to me that something very close to literally being here way too many times before and going through this to play it out again in this life, or at least the rest of my life, or let it play out. It's way too obvious to me that that's closer to the truth, whatever the truth is, then I don't even know if the world ever tried to tell me that I was not that. It just tried to tell me, or no. It only tried to tell me what I was not. It didn't try to tell me what I was.
Yeah.
And so I think that the solution for all of our little squabbles that we have with ourselves or with each other could be solved by remembering that we've already been down this road. We're back on it again. We've gone through this in the past. And I think when you are able to separate out the mind from the body and the emotions from the will, then you can't really help but have your brain open up within itself to the possibilities that are beyond its scope of imagining. And when you do that, you have some really trippy experiences, no drugs necessary. As you were saying, other people do go down, they discover this part of themselves or this thing because they've experimented and they found something there that was missing, that they always knew was there. But it doesn't matter. What matters to me is right before I started this meeting, I heard some other lady who I have not ever run across before saying, I'm doing this because I'm being of service.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember exactly how she said it, but it was exactly how I needed to hear it, because 3 hours ago, I was really tired. And I was typing a message to say, I think I'm going to have to cancel, because I was thinking I was going to work really late. But I didn't, because something happened. I think I read that word. I was typing it and I stopped. Something happened and my whole perspective changed. And now here I am, not only reiterating what she said, but saying that I spent the majority of this year in a very suicidal place in my mind. And I was keeping myself there on purpose over nothing. But it was very real. And the whole time that I was doing that, I wasn't doing this. But as soon as I started to step back towards that path or that purpose or that something that is aligned with this Hawk Eye's vision, as far as him reincarnating to resist something specifically incarnated here as me, or me, anyways.
I understand. Yeah.
When I walk in that, when I allow for myself to not fight against that, I find that I not only don't have time to stay down, but my eyes open back up to the magic of the world. little messages here and there. It's like, you know, your tinctures here, the experience that was when I first tried that out. And I'm just, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I know I've been rambling quite a bit. I'm just, as I said before, I'm excited to run across another soul that I can have these discussions with. And I'm not seeking to prove some point that I hold dearly or fend off. And I don't feel like you're trying to shove anything down my throat. I'm sure somebody would think that just from listening to this, but such is life. I'm just interested in connecting with somebody in a conversation that's not a zombie, that's capable of looking around and saying, oh, these aren't the same. What should we call them? Oh, the Walking Dead. Because that's what I don't know if people get religious or not, but I study a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
I hear that the Christ man looked around and said, you're all a bunch of zombies. If you read it in the context and understand what he said. You got to be born again. You're dead inside. You're not living. Mm-hmm. And so I read that now and I think, wow, why didn't they just tell me that when I was young?
Yeah.
Of course, I know why. But here we are now. And what do you have to say on the topic, I guess, that has established itself? Because it was establishing itself when I read that strange little email that talked about past versions of ourselves planning this out so we can get to where we're going down the line.
Yeah. Well, it's a fascinating topic that I had a personal experience that literally probably the most life-changing experience of my life, which then created or springboarded or whatever you want to say, catalyzed even more of these types of huge spiritual events that happened for me that could be akin to if somebody had the most amazing ayahuasca journey that they ever had in their life. But for me, there were no drugs involved. And for me, there were things that I would experience that I could then prove. So if I was seeing things and understanding things, I could prove it, if that makes sense to you. So I was like, what is being shown to me? So miracles, real life miracles I started to experience. And so as far as reincarnation and past lives, I had never known anything about them, except that as a little girl, I used to remember being an older woman, if that could make sense. And I used to remember sleeping on a floor, and I used to remember living in what I thought was a castle. I later learned that it was a convent, but I couldn't explain that. And I had knowings about Jesus, the man, when he walked on the earth, and I had knowings about his wife and his family that no one taught me, and that very much definitely confused me, and definitely as a child caused me to want to sleep with the lights on. And, there were a lot of things like that occurred throughout my life. And then I squashed them down. Did you ever have that? As a kid, something just about you that you squashed down as you grew up?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I've had that in my whole life.
Yeah. So sort of just to fit in, we squashed stuff down.
We put it beneath the surface.
Right. We push it beneath the surface, and I think that it becomes this potential energy, and it could turn into suicidal thoughts or frustration, anger, depression, disease, all those things. It really can. And for me, it turned into physical illness, but I had it under control because I learned a lot about how to get well. But in 2010, you want me to tell the actual story that happened, because I've never told it, and I would like exclusively tell it to you.
I'm gonna let you decide that.
Yeah, no, I want to.
Is it worth it? And I say, yeah. And he's like, hold up. All the loneliness, persecution, and hateful fucking humans, I say, yeah. Is it worth the doubts, suicidal thoughts, and fear? I say, yeah. Just know your soul has brought you close so I can show you this, that hope, don't give up, that light you hold. Just know your soul has brought you close so I can show you this, that hope, don't give up, that light you hold. Just know your soul has brought you close so I can show you this, that hope, don't give up, that light you hold. Just know your soul has brought you close so I can show you this, that hope, don't give up, that light you hold. I never had to take a stand, speak out, or lend a hand. I could have hid beneath the sand, just like my fellow man. But goddamn, what if my rhyme is what deletes the fucking mind control system, unfolds wisdom and starts to lead the blind away from the edge? Cause the words that I have said already might just be enough, but the stuff y'all ain't read could give the people more than evil. Violence equals to this horror show we're used to. Rhyming chorus is more lethal than any speaker publicly prescribing steeples. My holy war defeats whoever tries to teach religious sugar-coated coping methods which promote hollow plastic empty prison cells to hide your gifts. Yet the soul inside of you is whole. Let me insist and bring back the truth. They don't want you to know what's on my lips can benefit and break the grip of Satan's fist coiled around you like a vice. My flow is nice, you hear this shit. All hell can't stop me now, so no, I will not quit. The only way this show will end is if I choose to forget that it's up to me to make a motherfucking dent in this world. Why mental prison systems cover government? So I'll unveil a hidden hand and sever the neck. The serpent, multi-headed demon we believe and resurrect. A human tribe of vibrant beings so alive and filled with love, of fucking beauty. Help the sun shine through their eyes. Repair the damage caused together, then remind creation why it's safe to thrive again. We never left revived. Awakened from the slumber placed on us, we rise from the grave where we were laid, remade once more we shine. Yeah, yeah. So bright the creatures of the night can't even find a shadowy space to hide their face. Let me erase the hate of mine. Rhyming poetic story, telling imagery which God himself gave me to help you. What you thought so far might seem too big a question, but the second my lines bring soul power, divine messages to the ears that I sing. Darkness retreats and slinks away until you forget just what the fuck you heard, but you are listening to. Right now contains what I refuse to let you lose. You better use the tools you've given before it's too late to do a goddamn thing about the matrix that we built. Atomic weaponry, I bet the G will free us from the guilt. So is it worth it? I came back just to resist. Even Jesus reincarnated wouldn't be enough to shift the state we're in, but Hawk Eye wins each war he ends. So if I'm here, now it's fucking over before it begins. Just know your soul has brought you close so I can show you this, that hope. Oh, the light you hold, yeah, yeah. Just know your soul has brought you close so I can show you this, that hope. Don't give up, that light you hold. Just know your soul has brought you close so I can show you this, that hope. Don't give up, that light you hold. Just know your soul has brought you close so I can show you this, that hope. So
and we're back.
Your soul,
And we're back.
Just like I just said before we started recording again. But I'm sorry for the interruption that I had there, because I was really focused in on what you were saying. But yeah, things happen.
Yeah. So
I wanted you to get back into what we're gonna say if you want to share it.
I do want to share. So
I think it's really important that we follow those little nudges like that to share.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's been like 12 years since this started happening. And so basically I had what people would know as a past life regression. And a lot of people, go to a healer and have one of these. Maybe you've had one. I don't know.
So this was like 12 or 13 years ago, roughly.
Yeah, in 2010. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, interesting story. Me too. And also this random email that I was reading was about this person talking about some ancient stuff with 13 something. I don't know. The number 13 stuck out a lot. Anyways, go ahead.
The number 13 sticks out a lot when we have a conversation too. I mean, we can have multiple. Yeah, just it's great when you connect with somebody who understands on many levels. And even like you were saying about who's controlling or who is the one testing. And I wanted to respond, it's on many levels. So you can say it's a physical human entity or organization. It's also inside of you. There's also energetic influences. And so they're all true. So everything has layers to it, So we're talking about past lives. I'm going to talk about my past life regression. I want to really kind of emphasize that there's layers. There's things that were happening physically in my body when this happened to me, and I needed to address them. And through this experience, I learned what they were. And that was very important. But
so would you term your experience as a process that you took through that was akin to a near-death experience?
Yes, absolutely.
You're walking very slowly, hand in hand with it. Yeah.
It was the beginning for me. So what actually happened, because it's very intense, what actually happened was I was working as a freelance writer for multiple companies, and I had this one morning I was going to have a call at 10:30. So at that time I had a BlackBerry phone, and it was like a small square basically. And I dialed the number of the client at like 10 o'clock to see if this was the right number that I'd be calling at 10:30, and everything's going well in my life, but I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was. I was eating an all raw vegan diet. And I was like, let's just say I was pretending to be healthy, if that makes sense. Like there was some stuff about myself.
I think I was doing the same thing around the same time.
Were you? And you were so young to be like really in that too at that time.
Yeah,
I'm
I got
about 10 years older than you. So
I had some kind of I eventually did some research and told myself that I had some kind of B vitamin deficiency, and that's why I kind of went off on my extended non-drug trip and got a lot of I brought a lot of t-shirts back from that place. Anyways, go ahead.
Oh my God, you're so funny. Oh my God, that's hilarious. But so for me, I was about to make a call, and I felt this like electric shock come out of my phone. Whether there was actually an electric shock or whether it was in my own head, the feeling, I don't know. But by putting the phone close to my head, I felt this like electric, like I was shocked by lightning, literally. And it was a feeling of full body. Oh, it was horrible. And so I put the phone down, and I was about to walk to my couch, and I see this man who, in my mind, I knew it was St. Francis of Assisi. Now I've never met the guy. I don't study the guy, nothing like that. And I knew he was dead. I knew he was somebody who's not alive. And so I asked him telepathically, am I about to die? Because I felt like it. And he said, no, but you better come sit down because you're going to have a seizure. And I had never had a seizure that I knew of. I guess I had one when I was a little girl, but I don't remember it. And so
I always remember being terrified of that. Never happening to me because I thought it was something completely different anyways.
It was terrifying. Terrifying. Oh, it was so bad. Physically so extreme on the, not just pain, but discomfort and fear, I guess you can say.
The intensity of it.
The intensity of it.
That's what always got me about witnessing it. I just feel like, oh, please don't let that happen to me. But
me too. I grew up with a mother with epilepsy and had to assist her many times as a young kid. And it was the scariest thing. And so, so I was definitely in my fear. I pick up my phone to call my husband because he was like down the block at the library. And then when I dialed his number, Actually, I didn't dial his number. I just pressed the green button on my phone. Cause I couldn't, I had this thought in my head, like there's somebody in my life who cares about me, but I don't know who it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I can contact him by pressing the green button. I didn't know his name or like all of these were out of my head at this point. And I pressed the green button, he answers, and I realized I couldn't talk. And thankfully he had,
that's like in the Matrix in one scene.
I don't remember that scene, but yeah, I mean, I couldn't talk. And so he came home because he understood. He was like, hello, 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 you know, and I couldn't say anything. And he came home and the only thing I could say was seizure. I got it out. And he's like, okay. He makes me some tea and he made some lavender tea. Don't ask why, because this was a really bad idea. And I smelled it and I passed out. And what happened after that was 12 hours of me traveling through time and space. Traveling through time, I was in the same space. And I went to 1960. I went all the way back to the 1400s. And I was coming back telling him who I was and what I was doing. And then there were these spirits, who I identified as spirits, who I wasn't sure if they were good or bad or whatever, because I had never done anything like this consciously before. They wanted to get inside of my body. I could feel it. I knew it. And I was fighting them. And then they got in. And they would go one after another and they would start speaking through me. And he started writing everything down. And what they were saying was not bad at all. They were saying, you know, Gina's kidneys are out of balance and she needs this and that. And they were giving me basically a prescription for healing my body, and that I wasn't a vegetarian and what I needed and why I became a vegetarian. And it was because of sacrifice and a past life and all these things. And so I walked out of this with names, places, events that did happen that I had no way of knowing prior.
Yeah.
That I could look up and I could define and I could look at and I could say, wow, was I this person? I came out of it with this knowing that there's so much that we don't know, and there's so much magic and beauty and healing. And I got validation for the childhood visions and memories I had of being in the convent.
Wow. I didn't see you going there with it, but yeah. Yeah,
I did. I got validation for a lot of stuff that happened to me. Like, why was I so in love with Jesus? He's been with me for my life. And why do I love him so much? And why does he feel like a guide to me? Because for many lifetimes, I was a nun or just a servant. I walked with Jesus. I saw the whole thing. And when I was a little girl, I used to cry on Good Friday. Every year, cry. Why did they do that to him? Why, mommy? Why, daddy? Why? You know, my parents were like, oh, look at our sweet little baby. But did they really know that I was devastated because my friend was being killed? You know what I mean? Like, that's how I felt. And he was such a good person. And why are they killing him? Why are they hurting him for? He didn't do anything, right?
Unjustly.
So, yeah. I got this validation, but I also was recovering from having like so many seizures that my brain needed about more than a year. And I didn't have a phone then for over a year. But during that time, I moved to Mexico and I had encounters with extraterrestrials.
Where did you say?
Mexico.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said. Like, you said it and it like blurted out in my mind as you were saying it. And then I was like, wait, she just said that. Okay.
Yeah. So while living in Mexico, I got to experience what I would call extraterrestrials, people who are not natural to Earth, who came here from a different place. However, because of all my experiences, I was led to question my own experiences. Like, did this really happen? Okay. And does it matter? So is my life better because of the lessons that I learned from it? Yes. What if it didn't happen? It was all a dream. Is my life still better? Yes. Does it matter then if it was real? And the answer was no. It really doesn't. And And so then I could let go and I can explore what are all the possibilities. And what I discovered through just allowing like no boundaries on my thoughts. Okay. I had these experiences and I believe, or at least at the time they were happening, I definitely believe they were real. Like, oh my God, they were real. Very, very real.
For me, I still say that they were realer than real.
Yeah, they're realer than real.
That's the only way I know how to describe it. And if I went through that, then I can deal with this, whatever
exactly.
this is.
Exactly.
And what I was thinking as you were saying that, I think, what if this part of me put me through that way back then to prepare me to be able to walk forward confidently out into the world and say, I reincarnated to resist. I really don't give a shit about anything that would want to detract away from what we truly are. Because there's definitely something, there's something happening.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, I asked myself the question, is my life better because of this? Yes, I'm more confident. I'm more on the path. I'm healthier. I'm more open-minded. On a level of human to human encounter with people who I love and people I don't care for, it makes me a more open-minded person. I can say to myself, I have zero idea what Hawk Eye is really going through, because I know that I've been through so many things that people don't even believe exist, that then I can listen to you speak and give you like my real open mind. So on a tangible earthly level, these experiences have really improved me as a person to serve on this planet. So much so. So I'm grateful for them. And yeah, they feel realer than real. But because I didn't leave it at, this was my past life, I did not leave it at that. I didn't say, okay, I'm satisfied now.
Now I see the
That's
trap.
the answer. This is a past life. That's the answer. Good. Not going to think about it anymore. Right? No, I think about it all the time. I'm grateful for it. And I let answers come to me. I explore. I let, like, I had this idea. And, it's an idea that's still in formation. It's not full and complete, but I've had experiences where I am also people you'd recognize from history. So if I said their name, you'd be like, oh yeah, that person, right? Well, I'm not the only one who has those experiences. And so what that makes me think of is like water. For example, water has memory, and that's been proven over and over again. And I experiment with water. Water communicates. It really does. There's this really amazing woman called Veda Austin who does all this research on water, and she shows that when you talk to water, it talks back. And I've experienced this myself. Like, for example, looking at a picture of a bird, and then the water draws a picture of a bird for you. I have pictures of it.
I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same person, but I've seen what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So if that's true and water has memory, and you know that the water that rains, feeds the lakes and into the streams and back up into the clouds.
That falls from the sky.
Right. You swam in it, you drank it, you expelled it, it went back into the system. Somebody else is now drinking that same water that got filtered through the whole system. And the same thing with our cells. They regenerate and they die. And where do they go? It's energy. Where does energy go? Right? And one of the laws of energy is never created nor destroyed. It just changes form and it keeps going. And so is the same, I believe, with our souls. How exactly it happens, I have my ideas. I talked about it in my book. But like in a very simple way, it just means that, like, for example, when someone comes alive, they're using energy. And when they die, that energy is being dispersed and it's being recycled back. And so what if it's true that I have all these pieces of this one person or these 20 people's energies in me at once, and I became aware of it because of circumstances in my body that made that possible. My kidney energy being low opened my third eye. Would you believe that, you know? And so isn't it possible that I had awareness of these lifetimes because that energy was inside of me, and that energy can then flush out and go inside of you, and you can have the same. And that, I think it's highly possible and probably part of the equation.
I would say definitely a part.
Yeah.
Because maybe you gave yourself that so you would be able to live your life.
Yes. See, that's why it's like, it's all layers. It's all layers.
It really is. I like the way you put that. When you first said it, I was kind of quiet when you said it, but inside I was just like, yeah, it definitely is. Because what I found out in my headstrong approach in my youth, kind of like in this image that I've got for the podcast here, rise above the matrix, only to find out there's about 10 more matrices to escape.
Oh, great. I'm glad you know.
And that's what the big man told me when he held me down and showed me that, you know. And it's really interesting when I think back to this particular experience is coming vividly into my mind right now. This person, I'll just say a person, was explaining to me, yeah, you got out like you always do. We knew you would, but that's why there's all these layers. And I didn't want, like, that broke me even more than the situation I was in. And I don't know how I knew what he was talking about, but he said that he knew me and that I was going to come here and break out of whatever they could try to keep me in. Now, what does all that mean? Because at this point in my life, right around 2009, 2010, I was the closest I ever got to anything out of the ordinary in real life was, going to one of those churches where they dance around, speak in tongues, this and that. As close as I got to anything out of the ordinary. And then suddenly life exploded. And I can definitely say that if it went down in that way, I would not be here doing this right now. And if I wasn't doing this, as I said earlier, I'd feel a lot less fulfilled. To have meaningful interactions with other souls here on this plane of zombies, if you will. It makes me go outside and appreciate the sun, rain, and tree phenomenon that's keeping us all breathing. And I realize I'm a part of that.
Oh my God, I love that you said that. I've been going to this Christian church because I just felt called to go. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like step by step listening and like just absorbing and just being like without judgment. And I heard they were doing the book of Job, and I don't know if you know it, but Job suffers very much. And like, he's asking God, like, why me? And like, I don't even want to be born and all the things. Mm-hmm. And the pastor kind of summarized it in his own words. And what he said was, it's like, Job's like, oh God, please help. Like, why me? And God's like, look at the ocean. He doesn't answer the question. He's like, look at the animals.
Look at those stars up there.
And Job feels healed and satisfied by that, because when you realize that you're significant and you matter, but there's so much outside of you, so much that you don't see, so much to be grateful for, that does heal you. That is a part. And I've had a lot of physical suffering. Like, I had an experience in 2019 where I was in so much physical pain for 45 days. And the only thing that got me out of the pain, and I didn't take I don't even do prescriptions, but I will say I took lots of herbs, and I really am I'm a professional in the natural health world. I know my stuff.
Isn't that ironic?
Yeah. So
life brought you to that point, and it was the catalyst that pushed you to being the solution.
Say that again.
life pushed you to the point that,
Yes.
that you nearly broke, and then
Yes.
it put you in position to become the solution or the healer,
Yes.
or going out there keeping other people from. I mean, you wrote a whole book.
It's constant. There's constant tests. Yeah, it's like
Life's like, this is what we're doing.
exactly. And the only thing that like brought me out of this pain was the same thing, was just like what you said, like look at around you, you know. I called it, accessing the Christ consciousness, because
That's exactly what it is.
It's like, I believe that, there was a man named Jesus who walked this planet, but his story is nothing like what they say in the Bible. That's all. It's a very distorted story.
It's like everything in history.
Right.
It depends on who you listen to.
But I think the Christ consciousness is something. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's something that we can't deny. There was some man, he got labeled with this name, and he did exist, and we're still talking about it today. So whatever he did was...
He's important. But I believe that Christ consciousness is something different than the man himself. And I think he embodied it, but it's a consciousness of unity. And I feel like, that's the word, the Sanskrit word namaste that people say. It's like, when you say that word, what you're saying is, we are really one. Like, I recognize that you are me and I am you. And I see the light in both of us. I think Christ consciousness is like that. It's unity. And when you realize that you're a part of something bigger, and it's in you and you're in it, there's no enemy, there's no distortion. It's all one. It's all truth. It's all love. And accessing that for me was what got me out of pain. And it literally got me out of pain. I couldn't remain in it. I couldn't stay in it. Like, I could stay in it for like 30 seconds and then a minute, and then like, I'm in pain, and then, maybe 10 minutes. But I mean, it was hard because it's like, it's a state of consciousness. It's a brainwave state. It's a frequency state. So yeah, I've had some interesting experiences, and they all bring me back to, a sense of, honestly, humility and just gratefulness, and knowing that there's so much that we don't know, and I'm happy to explore. But it doesn't matter what I label the answers as today, because what matters is that I'm sharing it, and it's improving people's lives. It's improving my life. If that ceases to happen, then I'll cease to explore it. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense that I decided the best way for me to move forward in life, instead of typing up lectures no one would hear or read, was to write a bunch of colorful songs, and then find all of these magical people that I found along the way, and convince them to have just a human conversation with me, because that's something humans don't really do anymore. And I think that's the only thing that's really going to save any of us, is if we save ourselves by sitting down and having a chat.
Yeah.
And you don't have to record it and put it on the internet. You can just sit down and have a chat.
That's true. And doesn't it make you feel so good?
It does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really
It'll totally
does.
change your day, because that, that's the frequency, right? It's all about frequency, right? So, I mean, just two people coming together in it, or three, but that's why my day was good. It was because I had amazing conversations with a friend, instead of just staying home and cleaning the house. And it changes the whole perception,
That's something that'll make you wake up tomorrow and just clean up the house and have fun doing it.
That's what's going to happen. That is what's going to happen.
See, that's what your tincture did for me. It put me in that state of mind.
I'm so happy to hear that.
And from what I know with how fungus works, we're using the internet to communicate right now, but the trees have the internet too. It's just underground, I guess you could say. And then to just look at something like that and say, like, there's a whole network of what that's amazing. And the trees are just like, yeah, you should probably cut us down and build another shopping mall, shouldn't you? God forbid we keep you breathing. And the sun shines on and the rain falls and we're still breathing. And I just, that's what really leaves me looking around at the world and saying, what the fuck? And not even in an angry type of way, just in a confused type of way. Like, how did we miss the mark so much? Because we always come back to center. At some point, we come back and we reassess ourselves and our situation. We maybe calm down, take a few breaths, and then we handle the insurmountable odds that never stood a chance at doing anything other than trying to convince us not to resist its influence. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I think it's really just our own influence. We've been kind of programmed by maybe these non-human whatevers. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Maybe we've been programmed by those beings to, by the time we're adults, be so opposed to ourselves that, you know, I like the way that you describe what you went through, where the language you use essentially is that your body attacked itself in order to heal itself.
Yep. Well, or my body was healing itself and it felt uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Right. So that was its healing. And there were so many gifts in it, but it was so painful. And I didn't have to go through that if I would have, like I was saying, like I was stuffing down. I was living a very mediocre, great life. Like I was using my skills. I was helping people heal. I was doing medical intuition at some level. I was doing great, but there was more that I could give and there was more that I needed. So I wasn't giving my body everything I needed. I wasn't sharing everything. So it all this pent up energy was inside, and you could just imagine what a seizure is, like a reset to the system. So my body kept jolting and resetting until things balanced out. And there was, like I said, so many gifts. I'm so grateful for it, but oh my God, I would never wish that on anybody. Like it was horrible.
And that's probably why you do what you do, to try to provide people with the tools and information that you were gifted by some higher power or yourself or whatever through the experiences, so that you could say, hey, you don't have to go down that road in particular. I've been there, and it's not a lot of fun, and you're not condemned to go down that road either. I love the on the back of your book, all of what you say there, and it just it scratches that itch in my mind that lets me know that we're so much more than we're allowed to believe. You get a cut on your hand and it heals itself. And some people get so close to death and then they come back all of the way from it with holding even more light. And then we have tragedy stories too. And that's what this year could have been for me. And I don't know where it came from because I was in a really good place till this year started. And here I am like, damn, it's been a year. And I'm feeling all of that pent up energy that you just described. And I think that's what I was describing near the start of this. And I was thinking, I feel just this pull forward into, I don't want to sound cliche, but destiny or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's so clear and strong. And it's kind of like a warning from myself in the internal dialogue that goes on. Don't get in your own way because I'll trip you up and keep going. Yeah. Because we're getting there. And there's some proverb, let go or be dragged. Mm-hmm. So I have to just let go.
Because it's happening anyway, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to go? How are you gonna go? Because I've told, first of all, I'm really glad that like you're okay and that you stayed, because when you were going through that, even from this end, it was like I could see that you were being attacked. And when we're being attacked, we think often that it's real, and we can't see Meaning, like, we think that our feelings are our own and that we actually feel this way. And we can't see that our mind is being manipulated by outside sources.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to come to grips with that or face that because it's really foreign. You didn't feel this way yesterday and now you do, kind of a thing. Like, where did this come from? But I think that how anybody can do that to us is if we have that energy inside of us, because they have to attach energy to energy. They have to have a battery to put that shit onto. And so if you clear your emotions every day, like literally find something that makes you laugh your butt off. Find something that makes you cry. Stomp your feet, exercise, get it out, and put the intention out there. Do I have any locked in emotions that are that need to get out? How do they want to get out? Do I need to run? Do I need to sing? Every day, give yourself 15 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night before bed, and protect yourself, because we are putting out frequencies. So they are being listened to by people who know about them and people who don't. Everybody can hear you're putting out a frequency.
And then they interrupt it.
What was that?
And then they interrupt it.
And they interrupt it. Yeah, they're like, no, right. And if you want to say yes, well, you got to clear yourself. You got to be mindful of what you're doing and what you're actually putting out there.
So what you're talking about is consciously, not just willy-nilly learning the lessons, because the year's almost over and I've been greatly humbled. And I think I'm better for it. I didn't have to learn it that way, though. And I see that now.
That's what we all say at the end, like when it's over. Yeah, but just also give yourself credit. Like, look at how young you are and look at what you've been through. And next time, like, ask for help sooner, like, let yourself know, like, how to catch that and ask for help sooner, because everybody needs others sometimes to look out for them or to put a circle of protection around them, or, because there's a lot of attacks out there. And that's why I'm so empathic to it, because that's how I became in pain. I was attacked. I was attacked. And it happens to the best of us. We all know about it. And that's why we talk about it. And, don't be afraid of it. It's a thing. And set your team and your protection and know how that happens and recognize it if it ever tries to happen again. We can be very vulnerable and very innocent at our core. We're all just children, and we're not perfect and we don't have eyes behind our head, but we need to have community and people who can see what we can't see, And
that's what I realized. That's the wisdom that I gained throughout these last however many years, 13 years we're coming up on, was that there are some really powerful people out there with some extraordinary medicine that is exactly what I need, and also what this person over there that I haven't met yet needs. And this person over there is never going to meet them unless I hope that they get in position to assist, because I don't think anybody else has that gift, that specifically. And that person's extremely important to me, says me in my hypothetical mind here with this scenario. But I'm being serious. I'm being extremely serious. I have listened to the most obscure songs, the most random emails written by people, this and that, and they've affected me in such a deep way, and they had no business doing that, but they did all the same.
The little things.
And I'm very grateful.
You'll never know what it will be. Yeah. So that's another reason why I think we can't really hold back, like in your songs. And I just want to say that, like, if I might soon, like, it might come to me, but if I had the ability to really write music in any way, whether it's rap or whatever, if I could, I really would focus on that, honestly, because I think that art is the way, and even fiction, and art, things that are not, self-help books and religions and stuff. This is how we really make change in the world, is with art and music mostly, because you got the words and the beat.
Art is the way the soul communicates.
Yeah.
at its base. That's when you can have just, and it doesn't really have to have words or music. It could just be the birds as you look out at nature one day, and then you break it all down, and it's all a big giant song that nature's dancing to that we've been knocked out of tune with. And all we need to do is get back in tune with it, and then suddenly all of the problems that didn't exist yesterday, but that we blew out of proportion and made them into problems, suddenly they don't exist and they have no power until they can hook you back in again. But that's why we've got to look out for each other's blind spots. But nobody wants to be told, hey, you got this spot that you can't see here. Yeah, I can see.
But you know, the people who do, they will ask or tell, or you know what I mean? Like, so it's okay. Because like those other people will get it from someone else.
Exactly.
And you'll share it with the people you're supposed to. Just to remain open to that, and it shows up. And ask for it. Like, literally ask for it. Because I think that, you know, it would be stupid to say it's all love and light. It's not.
Indeed.
Yeah. I don't want to leave it on that note, but it felt like a little ending.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and they all lived happily ever after.
So we're not going to leave it there. I'm going to have to go back and read the rest of that thing. I'm not going to their retreat thing or whatever, but I'm very interested in how the words got put together in such a way that the way they're talking about this timeline of time they were walking down as souls, you know, reincarnating, I guess, and how we're now here to recognize and kind of assimilate that information and then continue taking the steps forward to where we were headed way back then. We were laying out the path for us, the footsteps, if you will, for us to see how far we've come. It's like ants in nature, just to bring everybody's ego down a little bit. We're like ants. We're all marching off in line. Nobody that's looking knows where those little guys are going, but they do. They know where they're going. They're doing it with purpose. And that's kind of how I see. I kind of see the underlying substructure of humanity being a lot more organized and together than it appears on the surface. In fact, I think that they have to manufacture everything on the surface and shove it in front of our faces through these screens all the time and into our ears, and you know, absolutely brainwash the children, literally, as soon as possible before they grow up. I think they have to, because if they don't, then they starve, because that's what they feed off of, and they can't very well do that if somebody's running around shining a flashlight in the dark. Because, you know, vampires don't like the light. It hurts. It burns. And it's just, I don't know, over the last week, I've had a very intense week, but I won't say bad. Just very intense. It's been a struggle to deal with. But at the same time, I've gained, just in the short period of time, so much peace within myself about where I go from here. I might not know all of the stops along the way, but I know that the road is solid and it goes all the way there. All I have to do is convince myself to not stay where I was trying to stay. Earlier this year, when I decided I just wanted to stop all progress, you know, I deleted everything that I put out, and now I've rebuilt it all.
Yep. It'll be back better. Just like, you know, I just got rid of been teaching for 15 years, and I just got rid of my whole email list, my websites, the videos I'd made, the blogs, the content. It's all gone.
Sometimes it's done. It's time to move into something else.
It needs to be. Yeah, it needs to be done, you know.
I want to keep finding people like you to have discussions like this with, just so that anybody out there listening that has these thoughts all the time but never says it aloud can hear somebody say it out loud. Maybe they'll hear themselves say it out loud. And we can all get along a little better because we're all here together either way. So I think that's going to be a good stopping point there. A better ending.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I hope you have a great rest of the night. Better day tomorrow. And we'll talk again. Music's coming out not soon because I'm not rushing it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Sweet. Have fun with it. If you do, are you doing anything for Thanksgiving?
No. I'm going to be working on my own little projects here.
Cool. Well, keep up the music because we love it. I play it in my car. And
Thank
my
you for telling me
family likes it.
Like I said, it keeps me motivated to not go to them dark places.
Yeah.
This is alchemy, you see. And if I had to boil it all down and give you an explanation of what my music is here to do, basically, we're synthesizing heavy speak. This alchemist is here to tweak your frequency, adjust the heat as we discuss what's underneath. Below the surface lies your purpose. These rhymes are here to focus and show you it's not hopeless. Don't you know my rhyme is potent? I've spoken to invoke and channel into words I wrote. Words all men begin to quote when what I send to them promote. Shit's too simple since just won't play the 10, then I don't. Suddenly I end up voting. No one bends a knee. Nope. The system gets rewritten, overridden, stripped, decrypted. It's my mission to resist all parts of it which didn't fit. Delete the script and then evict these demons seeking to commit atrocious crimes and keep this shit from coming back. So my lyrics hit the central artificial nervous bitches that I mentioned with a forceful intervention. Too persistent, my ballistic missiles rip through your defenses. You won't get to take offensive measures. Why? Cause you'll die before I ever let you try. You're at war with the Lord, so you'll need more ammunition. Do you bitches really think that you're equipped for this shit? And are you sure? Cause I suggest you quit while you're ahead before you wars get incinerated. This is basically what I am saying. You've witnessed my relentless wicked sentences conveying. I'm omnipotent, heaven sent. I just wanna say, what the fuck did you expect? Hawk is back to resurrect. What the fuck did you expect? I'm omnipotent, heaven sent. I just wanna say, what the fuck did you expect? Hawk is back to resurrect. You have witnessed my relentless wicked sentences conveying. I'm omnipotent, heaven sent. I just want to say, what the fuck did you expect? Yeah, Hawk is back to resurrect. Try the Bible with inspire souls on fire. Show it is required by a higher power to unfold this holy wisdom. Cripple system, decommission agent Smiths. Wake humanity, the sleeping giant. Can't you see, bitch? No one cares about your plan. Fuck your Mason team. Quit believing that the schemes of demons won't be ripped by the roof in this planetary grid. We were sent to prevent you kids from ever getting a grip. So let me spell it out for every one of you too ignorant to understand these rhythmic sentences I slipped into the script. You will exit stage left and your wicked shit will get burned to ash. You cannot match what you have just come up against. It's night that runs away when the sun comes to play and rain falls where it won't. No, it won't be restrained. Natural law says trees are required or don't breathe, and humanity's the guardians of this garden, so leave. I've never lost a war, every star system knows. Hawk Eye warlord light never fights all foes. Surrender to the end of battle and pretenders. I'm a force not even Satan tries taking on. And you're at war with the Lord, so you'll need more ammunition. Do you bitches really think that you're equipped for this shit? And are you sure? Cause I suggest you quit when you're ahead before you was considered. This is basically what I am saying. You have witnessed my relentless wicked sentences conveying. I'm omnipotent, heaven sent, and I just wanna say